What is up, guys? Today we are here once again, yet with another weekly review of All Out, and this is episode 15. Now, this episode isn't as emotional as last week's episode, but I really enjoyed watching from another secondary character's point of view and going into their lives. Like, the thing I like about All Out, as I explained before, is that they're giving chance to other characters and to explore who they are outside of the sport. Yes, the sport is important, but without these characters, we wouldn't even have a show. So sometimes it's needed to break away from the sport and to see what these characters are all about, and also see like their reasons for actually joining the sport and continuing on with it. Now, in this week's episode, it focused on Ise Natsuki. Now, we were first introduced to him earlier in the show, and he is also a good friend of Ebumi's. Now, most people, when they see Ise, he looks like a typical delinquent, especially if he's paired up with Ebumi. They look like no good troublemakers. But there's more to what his actual appearance is. There's more to him than that. Now, we also know, I believe it was around when we saw that little flashback where Hachioji was the person to recruit him and Ebumi onto the rugby team. That's how he came to play. So he started in high school as well. There's a lot of characters that actually started in high school in this series. So, and the fact that, remember what happened in last week's episode, the tearjerker episode, after Keita left the team, and then we have Coach Kimura. We got some insight on his character, and then how Sekizan was dealing with losing a member of the team, and that little bit that we got when he left a text message to Hachioji saying that he'll talk to his brother. Now, we kind of find out about the way Ise lives, his living conditions. From what we know is that he lives with his older brother, who's at least 10 years older than him. He lost his parents when he was around 10 years old. He was still yet a child, and his brother was around the age of 20. And he's not in the best, the most friendliest of homes, because it seems that his brother, whenever he's frustrated, he takes his frustrations out on his brother. So Hachioji goes to Issei's house in hopes that he can convince the older brother to allow him to go to the training camp that's going to happen in 2 weeks' time, the storyline time setting. So he's hoping there to tell him and persuade him, and hopes that Ise can join. Of course, the older brother comes home from work, and also what I mean by living conditions is that possibly, since the brother is the breadwinner, he's the one that brings in the money towards the home, I'm guessing the job that he works at doesn't pay really well, because you can even see from what he wears, the details they put into his shoes. When you just take a look, and they showed at least twice how his shoes are worn out and are tearing apart at the seams, meaning that because the job isn't paying that well, it's causing him a lot of frustrations, and which he tells Hachioji and Ise, saying that they just don't have the money for him to go to the summer camp. Hachioji tried to do the same approach the year before when he recruited Ise to be on the rugby team, and of course the brother is like, we just don't have the funds and everything. And then he goes to further, which actually aggravated me. Like, this is your little brother, and I understand you're going through some troubles. But he dared to go saying that, his brother was begging him, crying, saying, please allow me to go to the training camp with my teammates. He respects Hachioji. If you saw in this episode, and you saw before how much he truly respects Hachioji, because if it was not for Hachioji, we don't know what would happen to Issei's character or even Ebumi's character. So it's because of Hachioji's personality and the fact that he reached out his hand towards Ise that he actually changed his life around for the better, instead of him just following a path that could have led to by other means. Hachioji gave him the chance to do something positive in his life. So the fact that his brother basically was just laughing in his face, he even went so far as saying, are you two a couple? Like, I can't have friends and you assume that we're a couple. You dismissed what Hachioji and I were trying to tell you, and you blatantly disrespected us. And because of that, you saw where Ise took the cup and flung it at his brother's head, and tried to smack him with a pillow. And when he saw his brother's angry face, that's when he tried to chase out Hachioji, telling Hachioji that I quit the team, I can't join, I'm no longer a part of the team. And he's crying him, telling that he wants to stay on the team, but he has to deal with his brother. So now circumstances are kind of iffy at this point. And then we see where Ebumi is in here. Now Ebumi, at first earlier in the episode, he's telling Ise what he's doing. He's yelling at him because he hates when people slack off. Now Ebumi, he also fits into the delinquent trope by the looks, but there's also more to his character than just what he physically appears as. Ebumi is actually a really good person at the end of the day, because this is a guy that will stick by his friends. He's a very straightforward person. He doesn't put up with bullshit, okay? And even though he may seem rough around the edges, this is the guy that will have your back no matter what it is. And it looks like he and Ise, since for how long, they've been really good friends. So he finds where Ise was going to get lunch or dinner for their house after the whole thing that happened with Hachioji coming over and all of that stuff. The day before, he goes to try to talk to Ise and find out his reasons for, like, why do you want to quit the team, and basically saying, you have fun being on this team, it's because of Hachioji, and you have to work your butt off. And in his own way, he was comforting Ise, with his rough words and everything. And then when he laughs, his unique laugh, it kind of changed how we were seeing this episode, because at some point, you would have been frightened that Ise would also been the second person to quit before summer break actually starts, due to the circumstances he faces at home, which is very realistic, because first we saw where Keita had to leave due to him not capable of matching up with the practices, and then how it's affecting his body physically. And then we see in this episode where sometimes your home life, your private life can interfere with your school life, and some things may happen. You may not be able to enjoy your school life as a student as much as other kids may have. And we also saw into Ebumi's life as well, a little flashback on his side, where he knows where Ise is coming from, because it looked like his parents weren't always there for him and they just left him money. So what he did was he gave Ise like 100,000 yen in hopes that will help his older brother to pay some bills, and also hopefully give him enough money to be able to go to the summer camp when it does happen. So kudos to Ebumi, the guy that will have your back. He may seem rude, but this guy will have your back, and this is why I love Ebumi. This is a straightforward guy. This is a guy that doesn't beat around the bushes, and he cares for his friends. And actually, he's a very respectful person. Yes, he says some rude things and everything. He comes off as aggressive, but when it comes to his upperclassmen, he respects them. You see how he treats Matsu. You see how he treats Seki-san. You see how he treats Hachioji. He has respect. And to see that the type of life he and Ise grew up, you can see the connection between these two, that they did not grow up in the most happiest of families, that either their family was broken up, they lost family, and they had to deal with those things as a young child growing into young adults. And I love how they were able to delve into that and explore that, because they're secondary characters, so most of the time secondary characters won't get that light shined on them. They probably say it and then gloss over it and move on, showing that the team is practicing, or they're just mainly focusing on the sport. Now, possibly a lot of people that's watching the episode was wondering, we haven't had an episode where they were playing rugby, but you have to understand, the characters are there for a reason. There's more to the series than just the sport itself. And I like how they're exploring each character that is important in this storyline and giving us more to them so that we can actually care for these characters, and we really do want to see these characters succeed. By the end of the episode, we can conclude that Ise is not going to quit the team, and he gives the money to his brother and everything. So more than likely, we're going to see him at the summer camp with the rest of Jinko, and that was basically how this episode was. But this was a really good episode, and I really like how they focus on these two characters, these two good friends, and I can't wait to see more development between them. So if you saw this week's episode of All Out episode 15, do tell me in the comment section below on how you felt about this week's episode. How hype are you when we get into the part where we're going to start seeing the summer camp, and what are you expecting from those episodes from now on? The links are in the description box as always, so you guys go check those out. And I'm Kimmy Chan of Anime Legends Podcast, and I will see you guys later. Bye!